Next, we'd like to honor Mr. Formosan termite expert himself, Ed Martin. Eddie is a legend, not only in the New Orleans pest management industry, but throughout the country for his tireless work on furthering the knowledge and control of Formosans. He started as the youngest franchisee of Terminix at age 27 and stayed with the company until his death last year at age 80. I had the privilege of spending a day with Ed and his partner, Vince, shortly after Hurricane Katrina hit. I was floored by how selflessly Ed gave his time to me and even to his competitors and their customers. I remember he set up, basically set up interviews with his colleagues / competitors in this friendly, fiercely competitive cottage industry we serve. And so he was sharing the print coverage right off the bat. And to him, what was most important was that we communicate to PMPs the pest issues that the hurricane had brought and that were coming. And that covered everything from rodents and cockroaches to a third of the pools becoming mosquito breeding centers. So, I firsthand saw how he put the industry and his fellows first. And, without further ado, let's take a look at Eddie's dynamic career.
Ed Martin, one of two posthumous inductees in Pest Management Professional magazine's Hall of Fame class of 2017, had a long, productive career. After graduating from Louisiana State University with a degree in agricultural entomology in 1958, he returned home to New Orleans and went to work for F&N Pest Control. 2 years later, the firm that is known today as Terminix Service Company Incorporated hired Martin away from F&N to create a pest management division, and he stayed with the company until his death at age 80 in 2016. By 1962, Martin's boss, Bill Brothers, was ready to retire. He asked Martin whether he wanted to purchase the business. With a loan co-signed by his father, Ed Martin Sr., Martin became the owner at the ripe old age of 27, becoming the youngest Terminix licensee in the nation. While Martin was getting his feet wet as a Terminix owner, his father was working as the public works director for New Orleans. The elder Martin's crews were replacing telephone poles throughout the city, and they were finding bugs in those poles. Martin took specimens from the poles to the Louisiana State University Entomology Department. They soon discovered that the bugs invading the New Orleans telephone poles were Formosan termites, an aggressive species that entered the United States shortly after World War II. Martin and other pest management professionals had encountered them on occasion before, but the telephone poles signified the first discovered infestation on a city-wide scale. This finding opened an entirely new chapter of business for Terminix in New Orleans, as well as for the pest management companies in the Crescent City. He was a firm believer that Formosan termite control was created at his office, says his grandson Joe Martin, who today co-owns the company with Vince Palumbo. When someone would ask Eddie Martin whether he was an expert in Formosan termite control, Joe Martin adds, he would respond, "No, I'm the expert in Formosan termite control." Focusing on Formosans in particular, Martin at one point was the committee chairman for the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry Formosan Termite Tree Program. He also was a big advocate for the pest management industry and was past president of both the Louisiana Pest Management Association and the Greater New Orleans Pest Control Association. Martin was a friend to many in the industry and was often willing to lend a hand, or equipment, or even employees when needed. At his company, he always made himself available to employees in need of technical assistance. Martin slowed down the last year of his career to spend more time with his wife of 57 years, Loretta, with whom he had 5 children and 11 grandchildren. Joe Martin contends his grandfather was always an entomologist first and a business owner second. To honor his memory, Martin's former office at Terminix is now the Ed Martin Conference Room. His legacy continues to be mentoring, training, and advocating for the professional pest management industry.
Good evening, everyone. It is a great delight to be here tonight to receive this prestigious award for my late husband, Eddie Martin. He would be very proud to be in that number, and I am very proud of him, and I thank you profusely and wholeheartedly. Eddie was a person of great honor and integrity, and he lived the Jesuit motto to the hilt, which is a man for others. He had a company, a tiny company, when he was very young. We were very young. And he built it into a flourishing enterprise. And I'd like to say thank you at least to a couple of people who helped along the way. He was his first partner. He didn't have a partner at first, but then he had a lovely man, Joe Nucio, and then he was lucky enough to have another lovely man, Vincent Palumbo, who is his partner and friend, and who is now president of Terminix of New Orleans. He was pleasantly surprised when a grandson took interest in the company. He got a master's degree in entomology after he graduated from Ole Miss and came into the company, and Eddie was so proud of him, as I am, and he also made Eddie's last few years happier, which made me happier. And so now I give you Eddie's and my beloved grandson, oldest first grandson, and Eddie's namesake, Edward Joseph Martin IV.
Well, first off, I just wanted to say thank you to my grandmother. But I also wanted to thank everyone at the Terminix table here, because I know my grandfather would be completely honored that y'all were here, and glad that we're all carrying on the torch for him. I learned a lot of things from my grandfather. How to properly carry and spray a B&G, how to properly seam and, clamp a fumigation tarp, because everyone at Terminix knows that, his way was the right way. But one of the things that stood out about my grandfather the most was how much pride he took in being a pest control operator. He was an entomologist first, and he absolutely loved this industry. As a young entomologist coming in, I would watch a man in his 78, 80 years old going to people's houses and finding bed bugs and then doing the job with the technician, because he still wanted to find the best and most efficient way to kill the bugs. And he said, hey, the only way I'm going to find out is if I get on the job and do it with my men. So he was always an entomologist first. I was honored to be part of it then, and I'm honored to be part of it right now to carry it on. Thank you.